I'm here with Jacob. He's here on the ones and twos. Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning.
Steven is out taking care of business today, but he may pop in here a little bit later. But in the meantime, you got me. You know, I know you had me a few weeks ago, but here I am again with a double dose for you, bringing you what I want to talk about. So some topics that we'll kind of get on. First and foremost, I want to kind of dive into. So we in the Houston Metroplex are preparing for a winter storm. Now, many of you that don't know, Texas went through some winter debacle last year, and it was painful to say the least. I think the entire union felt the Texas shutdown because it was so intricate when it comes to things, you know, in the rest of the country with things that come here, oil and gas and other things. So there's some pictures of it right there. But it was so cold here, and the grid, Texas has its own electrical grid. It got overloaded. So they were doing what they called rolling blackouts. And I'll tell you, in my neighborhood, the blackouts they weren't rolling. They stayed put for a long time.
I was about to say, you had rolling blackouts? I just had blackouts, period.
We were in the dark, no heat, no nothing. And, excuse me, it kind of sneaked up on us because nobody was looking and shopping for generators at that time and worrying about, you know, all that stuff. It's just kind of, it was whatever. Because it doesn't really get cold here very often. We may have 2 weeks through the year where it gets to where it might be a little unbearable. And that's, you know, I'm talking like below 40 degrees. But other than that, it just wasn't, but it was down in the 20s and
it was down into the teens there for that never happens, really, truly.
That rarely happens here. And we are preparing for that here. I think it rolls in tomorrow, Thursday?
Yeah, I think Thursday and Friday morning is supposed to be down like 20.
So your boy has his generator this year, though. I do have my generator. Thank you, Jesus. And I am prepared because I will not freeze my hind parts off this year. We literally had to leave our house because it was just we couldn't deal. My in-laws, they have one story, so the ceiling's a little bit lower. We can kind of generate some heat in there. And my father-in-law did have a generator, albeit small. He had a generator where he can actually run a few things to kind of keep, you know, some heat kind of going in there. So we kind of, you know, we muscled it out, you know, dealt with it. We had to go and find gas for the generator a couple of times, which a lot of folks were buying regular gas, and of course it was running out. So I said, hey man, let's try the premium. Sure enough, premium worked. We filled that bad boy up and got on up out of there. And we told people, hey, the premium's working. If you want to get warm, use that premium gas because it is something in there. So of course, we know regular gas is always the cheapest, but we had to use some of that premium to try to stay warm. But we are preparing for that again. So for the rest of the country that, you know, are more equipped to deal with this type of thing, God bless you. We wouldn't want to change places with you. And we appreciate and respect the position that you're put in year after year, having to deal with the treacherous cold, because we are not.
No, I came to Texas to escape that, and now it's followed me.
You're the reason.
I know. I guess I am.
It's your fault. Yeah, it's and it gets cold, man. It definitely gets cold, and you know, it's one thing to get cold, but it gets beyond cold, and we're not equipped to handle that type of cold.
No, we don't have salt people. We don't have people that plow the roads.
Nope.
Like, we don't have any of that.
Nope. I saw a video, I think it was the day before yesterday. They just had this, like a group of snow plows. I mean, they were just kind of coming in all together, like 6 or 7 of them on the same road. This one scoops, this one, whatever he left behind, the next one, and that road was cleared in no time.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, when you have the proper infrastructure and people to do it, it's no problem. But yeah, when you don't have that, it's a nightmare. And those people are truly the saviors of all of us.
They are, because they got to get out there and,
Yeah.
and make it happen. So
So appreciate your plowmen and the people who salt the roads.
yes, those city employees that do those types of things, we definitely appreciate them. So anywho, moving on. Got a few things in the news that are kind of hot right now. One of which, in the sports realm, Tom Brady, who many say arguably is the GOAT. Now, statistically, 7 Super Bowls. I mean, the MVP, I think he's got 5 or 6 MVP titles. How can you not agree that this man is the GOAT? I mean, he truly has performed throughout his career, top notch. I have not read the letter or seen whatever the message was that he put out, but apparently many are saying that he didn't mention the Patriots or Belichick.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, which I think is very interesting, given that he won 6 Super Bowls with
Yeah, the
them.
majority of his career is with them.
So that lets me know there might be some bad blood there, of sorts. Who knows what went down with the whole situation, but to not mention them in your career after having played there for so long is interesting. But Tom Brady is definitely walking away from the sport after 22 years. That's a long time, man.
Yeah, and then
22 years. Now, here's an interesting thing, and you may or may not know this. Do you know what round Tom Brady was drafted in?
I know he played for Michigan State.
Michigan.
Oh, just Michigan. Oh, excuse
me. Yeah.
My bad. I'm sorry for all the Tom Brady fans out there. I don't watch a ton of football, but
the Wolverine pack is going to be after you, man. They're
yeah,
gonna be
I know
after
he
you.
wasn't really he wasn't definitely not a first round pick. I know he was like either a second or third. I can't remember.
He wasn't even second.
Oh, really? He wasn't even that.
He wasn't even third. He wasn't 4th or 5th. Tom Brady was the 199th pick in the 6th round.
Wow.
Of the draft.
Yeah.
It's only 7. So,
yeah.
Second to last, and look at what he accomplished.
Yep.
That's why I really don't get all hyped up on, he's this great guy and, he's a first round draft pick. Man, means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. You can have Johnny Football over there.
Oh, my.
And then, yep, he just almost, now he's playing for Canada.
Man,
Canada.
Is he still playing for Canada?
I don't know. The last time I saw he was in the Canadian League.
Yeah. And that ain't really saying much for the hype that he had. But I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. The top draft picks, no knock on any of them. We know that those picks, they make the money. Yep. Those are the ones where they get the contracts and blah, 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 so on and so forth. But man, to say that Tom Brady was in the 6th round and he was able to accomplish everything that he accomplished, 7 Super Bowl championships, 5 Super Bowl MVPs. He was 3 times MVP for the whole league. Let's see what else. 5 times passing touchdowns leaders. He has thrown, let's see what it says. His passing yardage over his career, 84,520 yards.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
That is a lot. Yeah. So, I mean, the guy has really, truly accomplished a lot in his career. Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. Hats off to you, sir. We wish you the best. I don't know, man. He might go into the coaching pool. Who knows? Or I don't see him being a commentator, honestly.
Not a Tony Romo guy.
I don't. And honestly, I didn't see Tony Romo being a commentator, but he's an excellent commentator.
Yeah.
But I wish he would leave and coach someone. I really would, because he has a coaching mind. He can truly read defenses, offense. Just listening to him, it's obvious that he has
Yeah,
that
you can
talent.
read it and then you can visualize it very well.
Exactly.
And make the person that has never heard the term football before
Exactly.
understand what's happening.
Exactly. They can understand exactly what he's talking about. And it's like, okay, they're going to do blah, blah, blah. And it's exactly what they do. And it's like, okay, Tony's he's making his mark in there. So, but anywho, but yeah, Tom Brady, man, congratulations for a career well fought. But don't snub your peoples though. Your people in New England supported you for a long time because they were trash before you got there, and you were there and you worked, even at 199. I mean, doesn't matter. Yeah. So, anywho, another popular, which I think he'll be Hall of Fame, as well. Terrell Owens. He was a 3rd-round draft pick.
Oh,
A lot of people don't. Yeah,
that's right.
he was. He's Hall of Fame now, but a lot of folks don't realize he wasn't a 1st-round draft pick. Just a small little, Chattanooga College, and
he was the go-to like wide receiver there for a while. He was the number one guy.
He was it, man. He was the man out there.
I used to play him on Madden
There
when I was a kid.
There
on
you go.
Xbox.
There you go. He was the man out there for the 49ers. So, but yeah, another, not a top round draft pick, just work ethic. I think that's what makes the difference when it comes to those kinds of things. Those guys, they work their butts off in trying to be the best.
Yeah. I think a lot of it maybe has to deal with they work really hard, of course, to get to the NFL because it's very statistically you're probably
it's almost
not
impossible, right?
Probably not going to get the NFL statistically. I think it was like 1 in a million or something. So just getting there is a feat on itself.
It is.
But then also continue there and to be one of the best within that field of such elite athletes, that takes a lot of work. And maybe they think like, oh, I made it. I don't need to work as hard, which I'm not saying that's the case with everyone, but maybe that could be a mentality. And then it get to the heads and they don't end up continue doing that work ethic. So
I think you're right. I think there's a different breed of people, and we all know as the generations go, the lines, some lines that cross, some lines are completely blurred. But I agree with you. Folks not really truly realizing how big of a feat it is to make it to the NFL. I mean, it's only 53 slots on the team roster.
Yeah.
Of those 53 every year, not every team needs a bunch of folks.
Yep.
They already know they probably have 48 that they know that are going to be on the roster.
Yeah.
So in that case, you got 5 slots that we're going to be bringing on extra people, and it's going to be between you and you. You got to fight over your spots, whatever the case may be. So if you take on an average 5 slots per team, you're looking at less than 150 slots in the whole league for millions of people that are trying to get into the league. So to that point, I think once you get in and you cross that threshold and you get to the league, if you don't treat it like the job that it is and put in the work ethic, just like anything else you want to be good at.
Someone younger, someone a little bit more talented will come up and get you. So you always have to be on top of your game.
There's a book called, let me make sure I don't mistitle it, Talent is Overrated by Jeffrey Colvin. And it just talks about what really separates world-class performers from everybody else.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's so true. It's like, like your Kobe Bryants and your Michael Jordans, your Tiger Woods, those guys, they're different. And it's a sacrifice at times. Sometimes when you go in as hard as those guys, and there is no work family balance. I'm working. I'm trying to get my craft. Tiger Woods, I would say, terrible husband. I mean,
it's not like he had a whole big scandal or anything.
I mean,
his ex-wife hates him.
Excellent golfer, but terrible husband, man. It's like, bro, for real, dude. I mean, so that was kind of the trade-off. Not making it right, but that was the situation that he was, in, and that comes in dealing with or deciding what you're going to do and how much work you're going to put into trying to hone your craft.
Absolutely. It's all about work ethic and how hard you work That I would say is the most important thing when it comes down to anything that you want to do in life and try to succeed at is if you put in the work, you're going to see results. If you don't and you just slack
You won't.
off, and
Yep.
then you're not really going to get to the point where you want to be most of the time.
You're absolutely right, sir. Well, cool. Moving on, but staying in that same area. So the NFL has kind of been up in uproar. Of course, this time of the year is when you find out who has their job, who doesn't have their job. We got the Super Bowl coming up here next weekend. Oh my goodness, it is next weekend.
Is it next weekend?
Yeah, so this weekend is the 6th. Yeah, it's next weekend, the 13th.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, next weekend. So nevertheless, Brian Flores, if you don't know, I mean, I'm transitioning. Well, not transitioning. We've been talking about sports, but Brian Flores has been in the league for a while. He is one of Bill Belichick's disciples from New England Patriots.
Oh, is he? I didn't realize that.
Been around for a long time. He was an assistant coach there. Started, years ago under Belichick. So Belichick has a lot of disciples across the league. A lot of people that are now Kyle Shanahan. A lot of these head coaches have come from his umbrella. Okay. So when you're getting a Bill Belichick, mentee, hey, it's not a loaf. It's somebody that knows the game, somebody that, can lead a team, that knows what they're doing, so on and so forth, right? So Brian Flores, who had been was he with the Texans? Let me look. It got me interested to see what the heck he was. I think he had gone down. Let me make sure. Brian Flores. Yep, came in 2008. Young guy, 40 years old. Came down. Yeah. So no, he was actually still in New England. That's right. Okay, still in New England. Did most of his career there in New England, and in 2019 he was named the head coach for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
Who at the time were boo boo.
Yeah, the Dolphins haven't been.
They haven't been much. They haven't been much at all. They've been trash for a long time.
How about them Dolphins?
But tons of talent available. Blah blah blah, so on and so forth. 2019. We're in 2022 now. Okay. His record as the Miami Dolphins coach, I think the first year he was like 5-11. It was bad. I think they only won 5 games. But the next 2 years, last year and this year, he was 10-6 one year, and then this year he was 9-8. So improvement, right? 2 winning seasons.
Yeah.
They fired him.
Oh, they did.
They fired him. Okay. Now, coaches get fired all the time. It happens. It's it's part of the business. We expect it to happen every year. It takes place. And no one really kind of raises an eyebrow about it because, hey man, you got fired.
We're going back to that previous conversation of like how hard it is to be a player.
Yes.
I would say it's equally as hard, if not harder, to be a coach because one bad season, you're gone quicker than I think the players would be.
Right. Now, some would argue exactly right for you, unless you're a white coach. And that's the argument he's making.
All right.
He is saying that he filed a class action lawsuit against the NFL, the Giants, the Dolphins, the Broncos, claiming racism in the hiring process. Now, right now, out of the 32 teams, there's one black coach. And for me, I'm not
that's Mike Tomlin from the Steelers,
there you go,
right?
from the Steelers.
He's been there forever.
He's been there for a long time, right? I'm no race baiter, shall I say, when it comes to those types of things. But some things are just obvious. Out of 32 people, you got one. Okay,
yeah,
cool. Well, the problem was they brought Brian. Of course, they didn't give him a lot of time, and it doesn't seem to make sense with him coming in to a losing squad. them lose the first year and then the next 2 years have winning seasons and then you fire him. That doesn't make sense. So the issue he files is that, it's been unfair, and the things that he's had to deal with, it's been unfair, and so on and so forth. But now this man is telling everything. Okay.
Oh,
so
he's spilling out all.
Oh yeah. He filed a class action lawsuit. He is saying that the first year that he was in Miami, Stephen Ross, who's the owner of the Dolphins, offered him $100,000 for every loss that they made that year so that they could get the number 1 draft pick.
Wow.
Which happened. They lost a bunch of games and they ended up they were very, very high. And I don't know if they went number 1. They may have. They went number 1. Let me look and see what the 2019 NFL draft order. 2019. Oh, they're saying it looks like Arizona. No, that's not right. That can't be right. Let me see here. Oh, they traded. Looks like they traded up or whatever. Okay. But anyway, the Dolphins, they ended up getting or in a position to have several draft picks or whatever the case is. But in this lawsuit, he's saying that the owner offered to pay him $100,000 to lose games. Now, if that is true, Stephen Ross will be forced to sell his team.
Oh, really?
Supposedly, that's what the implication is. That if that happens to come find out that was true, then he could have to sell. Now, my question is, if it is true, and Flores took the money, why are you complaining now, brother?
Oh yeah.
Come on, man. I hopefully
we looked up all the losses. You can see how much money he's
made. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully he didn't take the money. I don't know, man. It's interesting, that piece of it, but there's more.
There's more. Oh.
So
story continues.
He was in New York. They flew him up. He going through the whole gamut just to get interviewed for the team. And let me back up. Before he flew up, like a day or two before, he got a text from his old coach, Belichick. Mm-hmm. And the text said, let me see if it's even in this article. The text was something along the lines, hey, congratulations on the new job. Sounds like you have landed. Congrats. That was from Belichick. Okay. Flores says, did you hear something I didn't hear? Belichick says, Giants? Flores said, I interview on Thursday. I think I have a shot at it. And then he says, got it. I hear from Buffalo and New York that you're their guy. I hope it works out if you want it to. Then he says, that's definitely what I want. I hope you're right, coach. Thank you. Then he says, coach, are you talking to Brian Flores or Brian Daboll? Just making sure. Coach says, sorry, I effed up. I double-checked and misread the text. I think they're naming Daboll. I'm sorry about that, BB. And he says, thanks, Bill.
Dang.
So he knows that they've already chosen somebody.
Yeah, and he's just now going in to interview for that same position. Oh.
You're interviewing me for the same position that you basically already kind of let the cat out of the bag that, they're going to go with this guy. Why are you wasting my time?
Exactly.
It makes zero sense. Now, here's another thing. There's more.
There's even more?
There is something called the Rooney Rule. Have you ever heard of the Rooney Rule?
The Rooney Rule. No.
Okay. The Rooney Rule is a policy that's enforced by the NFL that requires leagues teams to interview ethnic minority candidates for head coaching jobs.
Okay, so it's like kind of like a Title IX thing and stuff like that. Okay.
It's basically affirmative action,
Yeah.
right? Even though there's no quota, there's no preference or anything given to the minorities, but they have to interview.
At the very least.
At the very least, they got to interview someone to do it. What that does, in my opinion, is nothing.
No, yeah.
It does nothing. Obviously.
Yeah.
Because this guy, they brought him in. Okay, we already, we picking this guy. They brought him in, but they chose someone completely different. And I don't even know, as a matter of fact, let me just look and see before I downplay this guy. Brian Daboll has been in the league. He's a little bit older than Brian Flores. But let's just look at his resume. He's been coaching. He coached at the college level. He was at the Patriots for a while. Not during the time that Brian Flores was actually there, but he was there. Been at the Giants. He was with the Cleveland Browns, with the Miami Dolphins and these are all 1-year stints. With the Kansas City Chiefs. Went back to the Patriots as a tight ends coach. Went to Alabama as an offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and has been in Buffalo for the past 3 years. Now, he's just moving from one side of the state to the other side of the state to coach. I don't know if I'd have done that because, quite frankly, the Giants are trash. Buffalo's got a pretty good quarterback in Josh Allen up there. I probably would have stayed. But nevertheless, that's who they chose over Brian Flores. Now, from what I can see, he's been under different leadership, different types of leadership, different systems, different organizations. So you would almost argue he's been a little more exposed to different things versus Flores, who was under the Patriots organization for his time. So I can see them saying, okay, this is who we're going to go with, this guy here, whatever case may be. And Buffalo had a pretty good season this year. But it just all kind of seems like a whole big old ball of wax, man, because starting with the owner, asking him to kind of tank these games so they can get the first draft pick, it's kind of dumb. I don't know that I'm with the whole Rooney stuff because I think it's if anything, it's really just kind of a band-aid to a problem that we know exists already because there's not a great representation in leadership in the NFL. Although I would stretch to say, at minimum, and this is probably a low number, 60 to 70% of the players are from minority ethnic background.
Yeah. Period.
That's just kind of how it is. But nevertheless, man, that whole ordeal, it's a class action lawsuit. I think Flores has kind of written his ticket outside of the NFL that he'll never coach again. Some people think that he may. Now, he might come to Houston. Who knows? But
funny you should say that. I actually know. I think he already interviewed with the Houston Texans because I know a camera guy that does some stuff for the Texans. And I think he heard down the grapevine that Brian Flores did come and interview at some point.
Come to H-Town, B. I mean, shoot. Come on, do your thing. We with it.
Yeah.
I'm not a Texans fan, but you can come here. I mean, probably one of, if not the most diverse city in the union. But it's one of those things, man. You hate to see that stuff kind of happen. During this time, we're in 2022. He filed a lawsuit, and depending on how many people kind of get on board, if the judge is going to grant it from going forward, I don't know. We'll see. It may fizzle out, and nothing ever happens of it. But the fact that it's there, you kind of feel bad for the guy. It's kind of like, dang, that's kind of...
Yeah, he kind of got set up for failure, I think, mainly what it was, for sure, with the whole getting paid to lose just so they can get a first-round pick or the trade, do something with that. So that really probably is the thing that really nailed him in the coffin for that interview, for that position, I think.
And did you get rid of me so I would shut up?
Exactly, yeah.
It's like, I mean, what's the deal? I mean, I don't understand because Miami has a ton of talent there. And with them having winning seasons, they ended the season with a loss, but in the very beginning, man, it looks terrible. No one would have bet that they would have ended up with 9 wins in the season the way that they were playing. So I don't know. He was doing something right out there. They got rid of him, which is unfortunate. But I think that was more of a personal thing than a race thing. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
In it, but it's a bad look on the NFL. Period.
Oh yeah.
Because if they were tanking and they were doing all this kind of crap, Roger Goodell, he's complicit because he's the commissioner. So I say everybody kind of gets kind of a smack on the hand at least, but it's a black eye to the Dolphins organization for sure.
Definitely something that does not look good for sure.
Does not look good, man. Whew, terrible segue. But speaking of not looking good, Whoopi Goldberg did not have a good look on the show the other day, bro. Here's one thing I do know during this time. You don't talk about Jews and you don't talk about the alphabet community. You just don't. You just don't. When it comes to those two areas, you got to tread lightly with what you say, and whether she meant it, how it came across.
See, I've heard that the stuff about her, but I never know what she said or in what context, so I don't really know much of anything.
Well,
I just saw the headline.
I think there's a little clip I think there's an apology video, but I thought there was maybe there was another one I had. There was a video of what she said. Let me see if there's okay. The uproar began on Monday's episode of ABC's talk show during a discussion about a Tennessee school board's banning of the graphic novel Maus, however you say it, M-A-U-S. When Goldberg said that the Holocaust isn't about race, it's about man's inhumanity to man. I don't know how she meant it. I think what she probably meant was we as humans, we just treat each other terrible. And it's a situation to where they treated each other terrible because that was the decision that they made. But what she missed is that they did it only because these people were Jewish.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the whole thing.
And that's the race thing. That's the whole deal. Just like when for black people coming up in the U.S. and how we were treated, and through Jim Crow and everything else, they did it because there was a superiority complex. They felt like they were more superior only because we were black, and that happens. And you gotta. Whoopi Goldberg's Jewish.
Is she really?
Yeah, she is.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So she
funny how that is.
Right? And Goldberg, doesn't she look like a Jew? No, but anywho. But the deal with it is you have to be able to kind of form your words and say things. And if she did apologize, I don't know if it was on the same show or she came back and said it, but she got suspended. The ABC president, I forgot the lady's name. But she ended up suspending her for the comments about saying that it wasn't about race, which I don't know. It upset a lot of people. Here's her apology. On today's show, I said the Holocaust is not about race, but about man's inhumanity to man. I should have said it's about both, which is true. The Holocaust was about Nazis' systematic annihilation of the Jewish people, who they deemed an inferior race, which is basically what I just said. She didn't frame it in a way to where it made sense. And of course, people can't get in your head and understand what you're trying to say. They just take your words.
Exactly. You can take anything and twist it in a certain way if you really, really.
If you want to.
Yeah, I don't think she meant anything negative. It's unfortunate that people took it the wrong way and she maybe didn't word it correctly. Yeah, sure, but I don't think she meant it spitefully like that by any means.
Exactly, I agree. Now, Whoopi has got to be one of the most recognizable faces. So, you're talking about, daytime TV, and most folks know who Whoopi Goldberg is. So, we'll see what happens, with this. He did apologize. I'm not one of those cancel culture folks. If people make a mistake and they apologize, let them live. Now, some stuff, for instance, like if we walk up and we got a whole recording of you for the past 10 years and you've been talking about Jews, this and blah, blah, it's like, nah, bruh, ain't no apologizing. Nah, you apologizing because you got caught.
Yeah.
But if you misspeak and say something that, offends someone, man, I apologize for offending you.
Yeah.
It takes a big person to apologize. So, Whoopi, hey, we don't agree on a whole lot of stuff, most stuff that you say. But if you apologize, the Olympian Table forgives you.
Yeah. When you have a whole national audience, any little thing you say can be turned into a whole scandal. So,
and it usually is. It usually is. All right. Last bit of foolishness, real quick, before we go into a little bit of stuff that's a little bit more important. So, man, I like to eat, Jacob. Obviously, if you look at me, just like the next man. And have no problem, voicing my displeasure about food or anything else that didn't meet up to my standard. Why won't this thing open? Hold on. But I don't know if I get to a point to where I'm going to box somebody for it. Is it letting you get into it? Man. But there was a situation. And I was in this thing yesterday. Let me try to refresh it. There was a situation that took place in Pennsylvania, of all places, at a Golden Corral restaurant. This brawl took place at the Golden Corral. And apparently it was over steaks, because they have a steak station. They have where you can get, chicken and seafood and wings and all kinds of things that you can kind of go through and get. But this was the result of them running low on steaks. And it's about a minute or so long. We won't watch the whole thing. But they're in line. It looks like people are in line. I don't know what's going on over in the middle. But you're about to see what went down, what eventually took place. The melee.
Okay. It's begun.
It has begun.
There's chairs.
Man, they're throwing chairs. They're throwing tables.
Jeez.
And it seemed to be two individuals. There's a lady in there, dude. There's one lady in there. They're throwing high chairs. And folks are trying to get out of the way. One guy in the blue shirt, he's coming after a guy.
Oh, he's coming out strong.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
throwing haymakers over there.
I don't understand. None of this is excusable. They have torn up this restaurant completely to shreds. I don't get it. Now, that's one of the waitresses in there trying to stop it. Man, you can't pay me enough. I'm not about to stop no fight.
No, if I was employed there, I'd just back away and slowly fade into the walls and just say, I'm just here. I was not.
Listen, I can tell you who was throwing the chairs. That's about it. Because when I was back in the room, when I walked away, he threw a chair. I'm not. No, thank you. I'm not doing it. But that guy's in his church suit. Look.
Did this happen on a Sunday? That'd be great.
Man. Well, typically it does happen when they, after church, folks go out there and get the little deal. So it very well could have happened.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that this even took place. Throwing chairs. I don't know. They're fighting over the food. This is first world problems, man. I mean, this kind of stuff wouldn't happen in a lot of other places, but this is what we're up against. So,
hey man, we're Americans. We want our steak.
We do want our steak, and it's kind of one of them things where, man, if I can't get my steak, maybe I gotta throw a chair at you to get some because you took the last piece. But it is a buffet. People stack up that food, man. I've never been to a buffet, and I visited a lot of different countries. I've never visited a buffet outside of the States. I haven't seen them.
Really?
I haven't. I haven't seen them. Not that you can't get food, but
That
an
type of
actual
style.
buffet,
Yeah.
that style, I have not seen.
The only other place I could think is maybe like Canada.
Canada's like America
Yeah,
Junior.
Canada, yeah, it's kind of we're very similar for the
Right.
most part, but yeah, other than like really like in Europe or anything like that, I don't know if they do. I've never been there, so
And they may. I just have never seen it. Typically, when we go, we get food. You buy food. Now, my favorite place, as far as logistically, was Australia, because what you see on the menu, that's what you pay. There ain't no tax. There's no gratuity. There's nothing. So
exactly, yeah.
if you buy it and it says $8, when you get your ticket, it's going to be $8. You don't have to wonder anything like that. I thought that was pretty cool. It's
oh
just
yeah,
like,
that sounds amazing.
yeah, it was pretty cool, and you don't have to, you don't have to tip. As a matter of fact, they turn away tips because you don't.
Yeah, it's like it's offensive in like
right,
some places.
exactly, because they make $16-17 an hour already. The servers, they pay them, so they're not making $2.13 an hour like we do here.
Yeah, and your whole livelihood is based off of tips.
Exactly. Yeah. Excuse me. So you get the good service or whatever, but I just hadn't seen it, man. I hadn't. You order what you order, and that's what you get. But we're not gonna make a whole bunch of food for you to throw away. But anywho, that's the madness taking place in Pennsylvania. They were about it, as they say in Pennsylvania at the Golden Corral. I thought that was pretty interesting.
They're just trying to be, another Rocky over there at the Golden Corral. They watch too many Rocky movies.
Too many Rocky movies. Give me my steak. Get out of my face.
They visited the art museum over there in Philadelphia. They saw the Rocky statue and they got excited.
You know it. Oh my goodness.
That's one place I've actually been. But yeah.
This is just breaking. Breaking news: 1 student dead, 1 injured in a school shooting up in Minnesota.
In Minnesota? Oh, damn.
This is oh wow. Let me oh my goodness, that just happened too. I just put it in the Discord. Looks like this is Minnesota. 2 suspects are connecting with the shooting outside Tuesday afternoon. Left 1 student dead. Richfield. I'm not sure where that is, but another school shooting, unfortunately, happens way too much here. I want to say Minnesota is they're gun friendly in Minnesota, if I'm not mistaken, up there. So there's no telling what took place there, if it's some kind of kerfuffle or skirmish that was some kind of disagreement or something. But I think they're saying from the headlines that they have arrested 2 suspects in connection with the shooting. So that's good that they're not on the run. But unfortunate that some child lost their life and the other one being injured as well. But one definitely confirmed dead on there. Man, I'm so glad my kids are out of school now, a public school now, having graduated high school, not having to deal with that, because it's every time you hear about a lockdown or some kind of something taking place, it's always on edge.
Yeah, it hits you home.
It does. It does.
You say it's not going to happen to me, but
you just never know.
You never know.
You never know what's going to happen, how it'll roll out. But that's terrible. That's terrible. All right. I threw a little something down at the end because I was reading about this medical drone delivery. Right now, you got different companies that are using drones to deliver product. I have heard that Amazon was going to be doing it. We have these Amazon hubs all over the city here. So I could see there kind of being a use of it, but a lot of times they're in such close proximity, it'd almost be a waste. And, you got some people driving, just put it on the truck and go and deliver it. I literally ordered a laptop Friday at about, let's say 12:45. It was at my doorstep by 5:30.
Wow.
Same day. Ordered it, paid for it. Laptop showed up. I got it set
logistics. Dang.
It's kind of like going to the store and buying one. It came that quickly. But this drone service, Zipline, they already operate. I think they deliver some stuff right now for different companies. I think they said Walmart and some dropping packages that don't weigh a whole lot. They've been around that Arkansas area, but they're going to be delivering medicines. And they're supposedly they're going to start in North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina, to help the kind of, if people that are on like these routine medicines, if you got to take them all the time, they're going to be dropping those things off, man. And I just remember watching movies in the past and how everything was kind of automated, and that this is a step in that direction.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to happen now. Of course, the fear is you got these idiots that would try to knock the drone down and take the drugs once they found out about it.
Oh yeah.
But I would imagine there'd be cameras or whatever, so they might be able to kind of help to police some of that. But I think this is a pretty cool innovation that they're gonna kind of roll this out now. I know there's gonna be areas where they'd have to be within FAA regulations, so they don't go too high, or in some areas where they're too close to the airports. But
this has been
pretty cool.
This type of stuff has been, I think, been talks for like years, and
right?
They're just going through the regulation and getting all that red tape done and over with, so they can finally stuff. Because even for just having a normal drone, if you want to use it for any type of work, you have to get a license.
Gotta get a license. Yep.
It's a commercial license, so if I wanted to use that for any of my video stuff or anything like that, I would have to go get a license before I can really.
Yep, I'm aware with that for sure.
Definitely heavily.
They are definitely heavily regulated, and mainly because those things, just like anything else, it's a machine. It can malfunction. You don't want the thing to fall out of the air 300 feet and fall on top of somebody and kill them. So they want to know who was flying this thing, and are you licensed to fly it? Were you doing it properly? Did you have the proper training? So that being said, though, I think this is a pretty cool deal, even for folks that don't, maybe in different rural areas, you can't get out and go to the pharmacy that's not real close to you.
And this could help out with helping out relieving some of that pressure off the drivers, because these are machines. They can do it maybe even later in the day, and this can be a 24-hour thing where
they don't get tired. They just keep on flying. Keep the propellers oiled and get the battery charged up, and that bad boy will continue to go.
Exactly. So.
As I understand, they're just waiting on the FAA to say, hey, yeah, let's do it. But it'll be rolling out, man. So I'm going to be checking out Zipline. I don't even know if it's a public company or anything yet, but I might be dropping a few dollars in there if it is. We'll see. We shall definitely see.
Bad thing to look at for sure.
Absolutely, because that's where we're going. That's definitely where we're going. While we're in that area, so I read this article about the study that was done about the lockdowns that we actually went through, and it was a bit disappointing once I actually kind of grasped the whole meaning of what they were getting at. We all know we were locked down for 2020, parts of 2021.
Yeah, good chunk of it.
Good chunk of it,
especially in the beginning.
Definitely, more precautionary than ever. But apparently this analysis that was done by researchers at Johns Hopkins, which is a very prominent university. They do these things. They're working in concert with CDC and such. But they said the lockdowns in the U.S. and Europe had little to no impact in reducing deaths from COVID-19 or C-19. Sorry, I know that's kind of one of them trigger words on YouTube, but it had little impact. The lockdowns during the early phase of the pandemic reduced the CV-19 mortality by about 0.2%, said the broad review of multiple scientific studies. We find no evidence that lockdowns, school closures, border closures, limiting gatherings have had a noticeable effect on mortality. How does that make you feel?
I mean,
because I have two minds of thought, and I'll share it. But it's just what are your thoughts on it?
I'm just, if that ends up being, that's just surprising. I would think like less contact with people, stuff like that. That's how it would work. Try to reduce the virus, how that spreads. Granted, this is not the end all be all, but this is just one study. And I actually did look into this study, and because you get at it from there, the people that did this study are economic professors, so they're not medical doctors.
Right.
So they're kind of taking this from the economic standpoint. So be mindful of that. That's kind of what it's about, and it's about the effects of how it affects the economy and all that coming from that point of view. Doctors.
Not at all. But yeah,
I'm surprised.
I say read the report. It's about 60 plus pages or so. Well, I was surprised too. I was more surprised that they even put this out there. As much resistance as people run up against with getting vaccinated and staying apart and wearing masks and so on and so forth. But it's like better safe than sorry, though, right?
Yeah, no,
I mean, I get it. It didn't really do anything, but okay. Well, here's what I do know: if I don't get in the cage with a silverback gorilla, he has no chance of bludgeoning me to death.
That's true. Yes.
So
that you don't need a John Hopkins study from.
You don't need that at all. So it's like, I'm just not going to get in there. I'm just going to stay, away and, keep it. But from the way they're making it sound, it's like, we're darned if you do, darned if you don't. It was going to happen. There was no way to do it, which makes me further ask, okay, well, then we got all these medicines and stuff that y'all talking about, but they put this kind of stuff out there in the world. And for those that don't click on the link to see that these are guys coming from an economic standpoint, then you take this stuff as kind of the gospel. And I think that's more feeding into what we hear from when the media puts things out there. They're kind of reckless with truly bringing the full context to it.
Yeah.
Because they could have just added from the economic standpoint.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. The same headline, right? Same headline. It says, lockdowns had little to no impact on CV-19. From an economic standpoint, lockdowns had little to no impact on CV-19 mortality, blah, 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 blah. That way people can know, okay, economically speaking, that's what they're talking about from it. But they put it out there, and it's the Washington Times. This is one that folks tune into and they look at. They call themselves America's newspaper. I just think it's real reckless to do this, and the media, although they're held with such regard in many cases, people just don't do their own research. And we were talking about this earlier, how it kind of comes to a point to where we lean on these different channels and avenues of getting our information, and we just feel like, okay, that's what it is. As long as it's not Facebook or Twitter, then it must be true, because it was on this website and they said it was true, but we don't go any further than just getting information ourselves to read, to do any of that. You mentioned about going to college. You learn certain things you kind of...
Yeah, the main things that you learn from college is how to write a paper and just kind of how to research for that paper. Those are like the main things that you learn, and just trying to be objective and like having that skill to really critically think. That's the main thing that college truly teaches you.
Right.
I think is mainly what the main thing is.
And unfortunately, folks don't do that research, man. They don't read, they don't... And these media heads, they're responsible for, in my opinion, for a lot of the division that we experience now, because you have folks that line up with these different groups and channels and shows or whatever, and beyond doing any type of other research or reading or even surfing the net for something else, that's the gospel. That's what Anderson Cooper said, and that's what it is. That's what Rachel Maddow said, or Tucker Carlson, or whoever. He said it, so it must be true. Yeah. So I don't know. These they have great responsibility in doing that, and I think it can be tragic in that. But this whole report for me, something to kind of get talk some discussion out, but. Don't take it as the gospel, folks, because these are not from medical doctors, not from the CDC at all. Even though Johns Hopkins, we all know who
they're
that
prominent a medical university and research university. Their stuff does carry a lot of weight, and they have a lot of very talented, experienced people. But just
be careful.
Look at the data. Yeah,
be careful. Look at the data. Do the research yourself. And with that said, man, I put a clip in a Discord from a good gentleman that I think we all know. And hopefully you can get the sound in there. Let's see. There we go. Can you hear the sound at all? Or on the other side?
So, the only way I can do this is we hear it.
Yeah, let them hear it. Yeah. I want just to hear that sound. It's just a minute long. Just to hear this.
There's been a lot of buzz about this fake news. You were the subject of a fake news story.
Oh yeah, what they say? I was running for president. No, I voted. No, what they say?
You switched your support.
I switched.
From
Yeah.
What do you make of all the fake news and it affects
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
You told me last night.
Okay. But you heard me? Does that make sense?
That was it there. And I don't disagree with anything that he said.
Yeah. So
don't disagree with anything that he said. It's a great responsibility as the media to be able to report the facts and not just worried about being first. So that's what we got today, man.
Yeah. So
I know it was just me. We had our Olympian out handling business, but that's what we do here on the Olympian Table. Just discuss the things that are near and dear to our hearts and minds, and of course a little bit of business, here and there that we talk about. But more importantly, we want to be engaging and give you guys information that will be interested to you. So, with that said, be sure to tune in with us next week as we join each other. Steve should be back for the Olympian Table Wednesday, 10 o'clock. If you are looking for a career in real estate and or mortgage, check out the description below. We are always looking for new talent. If you want to buy, sell, refinance, whatever, rent a property, reach out to us. We're looking forward to helping you, and we look forward to talking to you next week on the Olympian Table. Take care.